The Disney Renaissance kicked off in 1989 with The Little Mermaid, and what followed was a decade-long high with some of Disney's most incredible and successful movies of all time. Movies such as Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, and The Lion King. Disney's 1989 movie The Little Mermaid started it all, but what made it so different, and why are people turning on it now? Today, we'll investigate and defend this beloved classic. The eras of Disney. Disney has been making animated movies since Snow White in 1937. As the world has changed, so have the Disney movies, and the messages and themes behind them. There are considered to be 8 eras with distinct feels and characteristics to them. So what are they? First off, we have the Golden Age, which is Snow White through to Bambi. Snow White started it all, but it's highly likely that you know most, if not all of these movies. But without Snow White, we wouldn't be talking here today. It grossed $8 million at the time of its initial release and was the highest grossing animated movie for 55 years. If you adjust for inflation, it is still the highest grossing animated movie of all time. That is some legacy. Number 2 is the wartime era. The Three Caballeros to The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Todd. I have never seen any of these movies and haven't heard of any of them, and chances are you haven't either. Given these were made during wartime when resources weren't plentiful, the quality of these movies are well below what was produced in the Golden Age. Next is the Silver Age, Cinderella through to the Jungle Book. Like the Golden Age, I'm sure you can name all of the movies here. I have seen and loved most of them. This era was responsible for saving Disney from financial ruin. It was a time when people wanted to believe again, after the war. So many of these movies are around escapism and fantasy, with Cinderella's rags to riches story kicking us off. We next head into the Bronze Age, or the Dark Age, with the Aristocrats through to Oliver and Company. It is highly likely that you have a favourite from this era, but you kinda know that it's not good. Walt Disney died in 1966. So this was the first era without him, and the company struggled. During this time, Disney was focusing on mass production and quick turnarounds of their movies, rather than creating the best looking movie they could. It hurt the company, and many of their long-standing animators jumped ship. They also focused on more mature stories with darker themes, and so it didn't appeal to their target audience. The Disney Renaissance, from The Little Mermaid to Tarzan. This was a ray of hope, and possibly the best era for Disney. They went back to telling fairy tale stories. More money and resources were dedicated to the movies. Very early 3D graphics, new digital colouring methods, and animation effects were used to enhance the visuals. Better songs were created to tell the stories in a musical-like fashion, and stories were more accessible to a wider audience. The experimental era, Fantasia 2000 to Bolt. This was Disney trying new things, and it mostly working. They tried different animation styles. They told deeper stories that were still accessible to children.
It's little and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
It was a chance for Disney to show that they could make movies other than fairy tales. The Revival era, Princess and the Frog to Wish. This is a mixed bag of an era, with huge hits like Tangled and Frozen and huge flops like Strange World. As it is still considered ongoing, it's probably too soon to tell how this era will turn out. There is also an idea that Disney is potentially entering, or has entered, a new dark age, with Strange World and Wish not living up to people's expectations, and most of their upcoming movies being sequels. Like the end of the Revival era, it is too soon to tell if this is going to be a dark age, but it's something to keep an eye on, and something I hope that doesn't last very long if it does happen. Starting the Renaissance. So what was so different about The Little Mermaid that it brought about the Renaissance? The music, the story, and the quality. The music was created to be worked into the movie. The format of the story was changed to make The Little Mermaid a musical with a Broadway-style structure. It used the song sequences to hold up the show and move the story forward, as opposed to just having a song for the sake of it. The songs are there to let us know what the characters are feeling, what they want, and to move the characters to make choices. In addition to this, the soundtrack itself was used to add much needed depth to the world, telling its own story and heightening the emotions. There is no better example of this than when Triton is destroying Ariel's collection. The music is loud and bold and in your face, and when he leaves, there is nothing. No music, no sound effects, just Nothing. It helps you feel that loss so much deeper. In addition to the increase in music quality, they also enhanced the animations itself. They found and used new digital colouring methods to save on the costs of paint. They used different animation studios for things like bubbles. Fun fact, the number of bubbles alone was so staggering that they needed 2 extra animation studios to help out. This extra attention to detail gave the movies a polished feel that the Dark Age movies didn't have, and felt more like our favourites from the Gold and Silver eras. The stories of the Renaissance were also very character-driven. Many of the classics had protagonists that were passive. They had the plot happen to them. Whereas in the Renaissance, the protagonists are the driving force behind the plot. They have support and guidance and help from characters around them, but their decisions are moving the story forward. Ariel makes the choice to go to the ship instead of the concert. She saves Eric from the shipwreck. She makes the choice to go to Ursula. She makes the choice to go after the wedding ship to save Eric. The plot moves because of her. All of these things combined created a better viewing experience for the audience, and with that, a blueprint for the next 10 years. Okay, now that we have looked at The Little Mermaid's place in history, let's look at the film itself and address some of the criticisms that people seem to have with it these days. Changing for a man. One of the main criticisms with The Little Mermaid is that Ariel changes everything about herself for a guy. If you were writing a bad synopsis of the movie, that might be the case, but when you actually look at it, that's not what's happening at all. From the very beginning of the movie, we see that Ariel is fascinated to the point of distraction with the world where the people are. We don't actually meet her until 6 minutes into the movie, and in that time we have learnt that she is often forgetful about important events and rehearsals.
If only she'd show up for rehearsals once in a while.
When we do finally meet her, she's exploring a sunken ship, and she's looking for something on it, mainly the human things.
Gosh, have you ever seen anything so wonderful?
We see Ariel's curiosity, and then her resourcefulness and cleverness to save herself and Flounder from the shark. We see her thirst for knowledge when she goes to meet Scuttle about the things that she's found on the ship. We see that she's upset, that she missed the performance, but she's still stubborn when her father tells her off about it. And finally, we see her collection of human things, and she sings about being where the people are. All of this before she sees Eric. She is a fully fleshed out character with wants, needs, and flaws, with her main desire in life to get on land and explore the world that she's so fascinated about. Eric gives her another reason to want to get on land, but she still doesn't act on it. She saves him, and is clearly fascinated by him.
Oh, she's got it bad.
But when she makes a half a plan to see him again, Sebastian talks, sings her out of it, and she sort of listens. But she doesn't really do anything until her dad happens. King Triton unleashes all of his anger and fear of the surface and destroys Ariel's entire collection, including the statue that Flounder had got for her, in a scene that is still terrifying today. It breaks Ariel. So much so that the ideas from the Sea Witch to enter in a contract to get on land seems like a good idea. Ursula is manipulative and pushes all of the right buttons to get Ariel where she wants her, and Ariel gives in to her deepest desires, to get on land and to see Eric. If you want more proof that Ariel was not in it just for Eric, look at how she acts when she finally gets on land. She's fascinated with everything. The bubbles in the bath, using the dinglehopper, on her hair, the carriage ride where she points out everything, and finally getting to dance like she wanted to. She only starts thinking about the kissing part of the contract again when Sebastian starts singing about it. Is it a smart idea to make a pact with the Sea Witch? No, but it is understandable. People do rash things to follow dreams all the time, and who hasn't made a bad choice in a moment of heightened emotion? And the story doesn't let her get away with it either. There are serious consequences for her decisions. First with herself, and then Triton being held prisoner by Ursula. Ursula gets the powers of the ocean and would have destroyed everything because of this one moment where Ariel made a decision under emotional distress. So, did Ariel do something stupid in the moment due to high emotions? Yes, and there were repercussions for it. Did she change just for a man? No. He may have been the way that Ursula could get into Ariel's head, but he wasn't the only reason Ariel said yes to being able to get on land. Ariel has no agency. Most people point out the fact that Eric is the one to kill off Ursula in the final battle, while Ariel is stuck on the ocean floor helpless, as Ariel not having an active role in the conclusion of the story. Granted, Ariel is not a huge participant in the final battle, but there has been nothing in the rest of the movie to suggest that she's a fighter. On the flip side, Eric is a fighter. We see throughout the movie how strong and compassionate Eric is, and his willingness to fight to protect the ones he loves. I would also argue that Ursula focusing on trying to destroy Ariel gives Eric the opportunity to deal the killing blow. But that's just me. What we do see is Ariel and Eric working together as a team, looking out for each other and using their strengths when they are best suited to the situation. What is Ariel contributing, you might ask? Well, not 5 minutes ago, it was her guts and determination to get to the wedding that saved Eric from mind control and marrying a disguised Ursula. With the help of her friends that she had made above and below the sea, she was able to rally a full-scale assault on the ship. She does all of this, risking drowning just to save him, regardless of his feelings towards her. Ariel saves the land from Ursula, Eric saves the sea. People can be heroic in many different ways, and this is shown very nicely in this movie. Being kind and just showing up for people can be just as powerful as bringing down an enemy. And in this movie, they both save each other on multiple occasions. And it was actually a Disney first for the princess to be able to save the prince. Love too quickly. Do Ariel and Eric fall in love way too fast? Look, maybe they do, but it's a 90-minute kids movie. We've got to keep these things moving along. But seriously, an attraction at first sight is not hard to understand here. When Ariel first sees Eric, he is happy, mucking around with his dog and playing music. And then he goes on to save the dog from the burning ship. What's not to be attracted to about that? When Eric first sees Ariel, she has just saved his life and is singing the song that stays with him. When Eric does finally meet Ariel on the beach, he helps her out, even though he's not the girl he's been dreaming of. They then do get to know each other over the next couple of days, with Ariel being able to make Eric laugh and Eric showing her all of the things she wanted to do on land. You see they are connecting and respectful of each other. The only reason you keep thinking about the kiss is because all the side characters keep asking about it. But for the two of them, it was just a fun day. And we see after this day that Eric commits to the voiceless Ariel, letting go of this dream girl. It is all undone because of the sea witch and magic, but there's a real connection building between them. And this doesn't change when Eric sees that Ariel has a tail. He still goes after her to save her.
Grim, I lost her once. I'm not gonna lose her again.
After the battle, we see Ariel looking over at Eric on the beach, and Triton says,
She really does love him, doesn't she, Sebastian?
You do feel that this is the case, even though they've only known each other for a few days, and with Ariel not talking during the time. Some things bring people together, and killing a giant sea witch is probably one of them. We also don't know how long it is between this scene and the wedding. It could have been months of them getting to know each other. Just because Ursula magics the wedding to happen in one afternoon doesn't mean that that's how it happens all the time. What we can say for sure is that it must have worked out, as Ariel is the only Disney princess to have a child. So does the romance happen too quickly? Probably not. The attraction happens quickly for sure, but romance takes a bit longer, as they have to work for it as they get to know each other. So there we have it, the importance and my defense of The Little Mermaid. It is an amazing movie, and after 35 years, it still makes me happy cry at the end. I hope you're all able to give this movie another look and enjoy it for what it is. And as always, thank you for watching, and let's see what other secrets we can uncover next time on Nerdy Investigations.